Hello friends, this is Eastview Eddie, Ed the Natural Paulie, coming to you live from Freedom Studios in Eastview, Kentucky. And it is Sunday, September 28, 2014, 8:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Been a nice full day. I've been outside working today, moving some rock and doing some things, and feels good when you get some work done, something accomplished, and you get a little sweaty and hot. Sun was beating down today, but I got the work done, and it's a good feeling when you finish your work and then you take that nice shower and put on some clean clothes, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I don't make a habit of working on Sunday, but there are times where you just need to go ahead and get something done, and that was the case today. But before I retire for the night, I'm going to do a quick video with you here about debt in America and getting out of debt. Before I watch a little football for the rest of the night, before I turn in. And this is an important subject, and I'm going through this right now. Those of you that's been friends with me and following me on Facebook know that I've been making some good progress about getting out of debt, and I think I'm serious as heck about it, folks. I'm done with debt for the rest of my life. Lord willing. You know, you never know about big setbacks, and those happen in life, but my plan is over the next 2 to 4 years to be completely debt-free. And I've got a new 5-year plan that I devised within the last month or two. I've only got a couple of mortgage payments left, and then my home is mine. No more bank involvement in that. And then by February, I'm paying off another credit card, so there's going to be a nice chunk of change back in my pocket on a monthly basis. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about making decisions with finances about that. And this is not my own plan, folks. I want to be clear about that. I didn't come up with this, but about 20 years ago, this book came into my life. And it is Financial Peace by Dave Ramsey. And it is the plan that I'm following. Now, this is how smart I can be, folks. Yeah, it was 20 years ago when I first found this book. Now, have I been debt-free ever since? No. No, I've made some dumb decisions in my life, folks. And I made 3 of them. 2007, I was dating an old girl and took out a loan. Even though I didn't have much debt left, if I'd have just stuck to it. And then I went to college for 2 more years, back about, I think, 2009 to 2011. Took out some student loans. And I also, around that same time, had a small multi-level marketing business. Then I went into some debt for it. And dumb, and dumber. I can be as dumb as anybody, folks. If it hadn't been for them 3, in February I'd be debt-free totally. I'd be debt-free totally. So finally, after many years of knowing better, emotionally, it's come down for me here in the last few years that no more. No more. I'm never going to go through this again, folks. Because, yes, we all have constitutional freedoms. We all have that, and we all know about our freedoms. You have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, Second Amendment, right to self-defense, and so on and so forth, right down through the Constitution. But, as I wrote on Facebook, if you're not financially free, debt-free, how truly free are you in America? You know, I did some checking on the internet right before this, and there was a 2013 Gallup poll. I'm not talking about some poll you never heard about, but a Gallup poll showed, and my question that I wanted to look up was this: how many Americans hate their jobs? And the answer was 70%. Now here's another thing for you. How many Americans are in debt? Think about it. If you know where I'm going. That number is 70% as well. I don't believe in coincidences, folks. You know, 70% of the Americans hate their job and 70% are in debt. You see, when you're in debt, how free are you to move on and do something you love? Well, as long as You got all this debt you got to pay every month, you know. And I think not even you don't even have the freedom of choice a lot of the times when you have debt. You have to go into that job you hate because you got to pay the bills. You got them debts you got to pay. Every month it comes in, and see, I'm tired of the revolving door, folks. I'm tired of it. Emotionally, I'm tired of it. Intellectually, I was a long time ago, but it has to get down inside you too. And I'm done with it, just to be honest with you, because I want my financial peace and my financial freedom. I want it bad enough that I'm going to do. I've been doing it. I've been doing what it takes. Now it's getting ready to go to the next level. And you know, according to Dave Ramsey, who wrote this book, basically you can have two choices. You can instant gratify, or you can long-term delay gratification. You see, when you're doing every week, well, Ed, I've got to go out on the weekends, and I've got to go out every night, and I've got to have the newest thing every time it comes out. Well, see, you're saying yes to a lot of little things now, but that's going to preclude you from saying yes to bigger things later in life. When you're getting debt-free and when you get that decision summed up for yourself, you learn to say no to little things now so you can say yes to big things later. That's that delayed gratification. It's not that if you didn't truly believe that there are better things down in the future, down the road, well, you wouldn't have the discipline to say no to things now because you wouldn't believe it. There wouldn't be no goal, a really believed in goal down the road to motivate you to have that self-discipline to not spend everything every month and just keep driving up debt and driving it up and driving it up and taking all the money that you could be taking to put on that debt, not just making minimum payments. That's not going to ever get you anywhere, folks. I've forgotten the numbers, but I think, just off the top of my head, from memory, if you've got thousands of dollars of debt on a credit card and you only make minimum payments, that could take 20 years to pay off, folks. 20 years. So you have to do something more than that. You gotta speed the process up. You gotta speed it up, and that's what I've been doing. And it's working out. Like I said, by March of next year, things are going to be looking a lot better. And my 5-year plan is this for myself. I'm going to be, the mortgage is going first. Usually that's one of the last things going. In my situation, it's the first thing going. Mortgage is gone first, another credit card's going after that. Then I'm going to do, under Dave's plan, actually what you're supposed to do is this. You're supposed to fund your emergency fund first. Now, I'm deviating from the plan a little bit because I got to admit I haven't done that. Emergency fund is 6 months. You sit down and you do your monthly budget on a piece of paper and you figure up the grand total of all the money you got going out every month to pay your bills. And that includes, you got to include everything, folks. Every little dollar that you spent. You want to account for every single dollar that's got to go out every month. Gasoline, all the house bills, the mortgage, clothing, whatever you spend on, that's a priority. A priority that has to be accounted for. And then you times that by 6, which is 6 months, and that is supposed to be your emergency fund. So I haven't done that yet, but starting in March of next year, I am going to make that happen. Because you never know what's going to happen. In case you get out of work, you know, you get fired or layoffs or so on and so forth. You have 6 months in the bank that you can pay all your bills with. Another good example of why you need an emergency fund is your car blows up. The engine blows up and you need $2 grand to get it fixed. And or you need a set of tires, you know, they're down to being Balskis, and you need that. There's always the unforeseen thing, and that's why you need that 6 months of all your bills in the bank in cash. And usually you want to put it in. You're not going to invest it long term. That's not what this is for. An emergency fund is for emergencies. So you want to be able to get to it. If it's in a mutual fund, that's a long-term investment, folks. So I'm not talking about that. You need to put it in something like a savings account or a basic money market account, so you can get to it, so you can have access to it. And it's not even that important how much interest is drawn. See, it's not a long-term investment. It's just for emergencies. And I'm going to be taking care of that next year. That's a little bit out of order. But it'll be okay, I think. So I'm taking care of that. And then a few things around the house that I've been putting off while I've been finishing the mortgage off. And this is all under my plan. And then once those two things are done, it is on to the next level of paying them last 3 bills off. Them last 3 bills. And I'm looking at a 2 to 4 year window. You know, if I can make more money, then it's just going to go faster. So that's my plan, to make that happen as fast as possible, because I'm truly sick of it, folks. And then once I'm 100% debt free, my plan is, in this 5-year plan, at the back side of it, I want to go back to college, finish up my last 2 years for my bachelor's degree. And we're looking at the top 3 choices on that. It's going to be philosophy, political science, or history. But philosophy is my #1 choice as of now. But there's time. See, there's time to think more about that. I don't have to make that decision today. But I've been researching it, and I'll continue to research, you know, what you can make, what kind of jobs you can have, and so on and so forth. I've got the next 2 to 4 years to really think about that and work that all out. So that's not a big priority today. And a 20-year plan as well, a new 20-year plan. Once that's done and I can secure employment, I've got to start, I'm a little bit ashamed to admit it, but I don't have any retirement savings as of yet, as of now. So I've got the next 20 years to do that. I'm 46 now, and I'll work on. I don't really look forward to just sitting around. I think I could work on into my later years, and a lot of people are, and that'll be just fine. That'll be just fine. But who knows what's going to happen? See, you don't. I'm not a job mentality guy, and I'm not knocking anybody that just wants to work for somebody else. But the basic American dream has always been, and I learned this about 20 years ago too. I wasn't the only one that ever thought this way. I met a lot of people through different associations and different businesses and so forth. The basic American dream is more so to own a business. You know, back in the time of the founding of America, 90% of Americans were business owners. 90%. It was not the original American way to be an employee. It wasn't. Because there's less financial freedom in being an employee. You wanted to own your own business. That's what people dreamed about. And people had family businesses, and they would raise their children in those family businesses. And that was the American way. And it was that way through the 1800s, or the 1700s, the colonial times, the 1800s. Like so many things wrong with America, I can trace almost every ill of America back to the 20th century. We departed from the original American ethos in the 20th century, in the 1900s in this country. And that is the century in which that 90% business ownership changed. And by the late 20th century, it had totally changed in 100 years. Today in America, 90% of Americans are employees and only 10% are business owners. See, it's just totally backwards from what it always was. So I still dream of that, and you know, with that new degree, I think it's going to open up a lot of doors and a lot of possibilities that aren't there right now. So I'm looking forward to it. Mainly, I'm looking forward to the learning of it. That is the primary reason you go to, I believe, you go to school. If you go for a job, just having a job mentality, that's vocational thinking. Now, you don't want to take basket weaving, which is worthless. You know, I'm not talking about that. But you've got to go for things. Education should always be about something very important and something that enriches your life. And from that, if it's truly the work you're born to do or the work you love to do, I believe the rewards in life will come from it, as long as there is a demand for it in the American economy. And you know, I've found out that a lot of successful people had philosophy degrees. Even presidents had philosophy degrees. And it is something, if you go back into education of the original Americans, philosophy was one of the original, the classic American education of children back in the day. Philosophy was one of the main things taught to American children. So yes, all the founders had philosophy as part of their life, and it enriched their life and it expanded their mind and helped them think greater thoughts, I do believe. Oh yeah, I love it. I love the subject. I surely do. And more than likely that's what I'm going to be doing. But let me get, that's my plan. That's my basic 5-year plan and my 20-year plan right now. And it's exciting. You know, I'm dreaming new dreams again, folks. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, I saw the end of a dream. I went to culinary school, and if I'd have been smart, I'd have went and got a cooking job first before I spent the first dollar on it. Before I spent the first dollar on it, because it didn't work out. It was not the job for me. But that's all right. We fail in life sometimes, folks, and you have to take a dream and you have to put it aside. But the main thing is get yourself a new dream as soon as possible. As soon as possible, and never stop dreaming. It's just a bad feeling to live without a dream. It's very empty. It's very empty and depressing. So I've got a new dream again, and here's how you work on a dream. And the dream, part of my dream right now is debt-free. First thing you do is you get a dream, then you create a vision of that dream in your mind's eye, where you can see it clearly. Then you have to make a decision. Do I truly want that dream? Do I want to make it a reality? And once you make the decision that, yes, I do want that, then you can create a plan, a rock-solid plan for getting it. And then the last thing to do is work your plan. Plan your work and work your plan, as the old saying goes. The last thing you do is work that plan. And you can have your dreams in America. I still believe that, folks. I haven't given up on this country. I haven't given up on the American dream. And part of my American dream is, and it should be for everybody, I truly believe being a good American, one of the best things you can do is to be debt-free. So much more freedom, folks. So much more freedom. And you know about that 70% that hate their jobs? Did you know this fact? That most heart attacks in America happen on a Monday morning. Most heart attacks happen on a Monday morning in America. Now what happens on a Monday morning in America? Everybody's going to a job and 70% of them hate it. 70% of them hate it. People going to work, they're spending the hours and days and weeks and years of their life wasting their life on something they hate to do. And what's the number one reason people would do that? It's because they have bills that have to be paid. But imagine how much more freedom you'd have if you were debt-free. If you were debt-free. You might be in a position where you could say, you know, I do hate this job and I'd rather do that job. You know, you have that basic questioning of yourself. What do I truly want to do with my life? Instead of what I have to do just to pay the debts that I have. And running up so much debt in our lives. So yeah, it's all about freedom, folks. Financial freedom. Again, you could have all the constitutional freedoms in the world, but until you're personally debt-free and financially free, I don't believe you'll ever truly experience freedom in this country. And that's sad. That's sad. And I'm that close to it, folks, and I'm excited. I am excited. None of this is bragging. I told you I've done dumb things in my life, folks. But eventually, I had enough of it, and I started saying no. Don't you think that I get the phone calls? Hey, Ed, let's go do this. Ed, let's go do that. Let's run over here. Let's run over there. Come to town. Do this. Do that. I've learned to say no in my life, folks. Because, you know, I heard Dave Ramsey on the radio talking about this a couple weeks ago. A couple called in, and it's a little it's a little thing they do on that show. People that have gotten out of debt call into that show, and they get to tell their story. And they get to yell freedom. We're free at the end of it. And don't you know that so many of those people are just, oh, they're so excited. They've got their freedom back, folks. They've got their freedom back. And again, I've done dumb things, but there was a point where I had enough. And it happened a few years ago. And it's always darkest before the dawn. And this last 2 years of this mortgage was kind of like that. You know, it's just like, am I going to get there? You know, you're patient, you wait, you say no to things so you can say yes to bigger things later. And that's what I started to say was, I've learned to say no to the little things now. Because I know I'm going to be able to say yes to big things later. And that's the whole point of it, folks. Your freedom is out there if you're willing to work for it. Real freedom. To where you can take a trip and not be guilty about it. Where when you get back, it's okay. You didn't take the money on that trip for that trip. Instead of taking that trip, you just stay home and you put that money on another debt, and you're that much closer to freedom. To freedom. So yes, I've learned to say no to things in life. I paid cash for my car. Do I need a brand new car? No. What's the point of a car? Is it to impress somebody? Keeping up with the Joneses? Oh, you know, how many people are in financial chains tonight over keeping up with the Joneses? Keeping up with their neighbors. Oh, they got a new car, now I got to get one. I don't worry about perceptions anymore, folks. I don't worry about image and all that stuff. It's unimportant. It's unimportant. My freedom is important. So you know, a lot of people don't understand though. I mean, I'm sure there's been some hard feelings over me saying no to things so many times. But see, I have the dream. I have the dream, and I know it's possible. See, it's like so many things. If you acquiesce, if you admit defeat before you even fight the battle, well, you're going to stay right where you're at. Right where you're at, and things will never change. Will never change. Now, so if you want things to change, you're going to have to change. Right? Right? Of course. The definition of insanity is to continue in the same course of events and expect a different result. That's insanity, folks. So I have stopped the insanity. As that old girl back in the 90s used to say, stop the insanity. And I have. It's insane to be in debt in this country because you're robbing yourself of freedom. So check that book out. I didn't invent it, folks. This is Dave Ramsey's plan. He calls it the debt snowball. In a nutshell, here's how it's going to work. Once the mortgage is gone in my life, this is my personal life, how it's working out for me. Once that mortgage is gone, you take that old payment, you don't run out and spend it. You don't do any new spending. You keep your priorities. You keep your priorities. And in the priorities of most important at the top and going down from there, is this dollar I'm spending going to get me debt free? That's the top priority. And if the answer is no, you do your best to say no to it and keep it out of your life. So I've got a mortgage payment that's going to be freed up here in a couple of months. Instead of going out and spending that and buying a new car and creating a new payment that takes all that money, no, you don't do that. You keep driving what you got. And I paid cash for my car. No payment. I have no car payment, folks. That's the way it's got to be to get out of debt. You take that money, that freed up payment, and you put it on the next smallest debt. The next smallest debt you got. And you pay it off. Then you take both payments that are freed up and you put them on the next smallest or the next largest debt. And then you take all 3 payments and you apply it to the next debt. And then you take all 4 payments and you apply it to the next debt. And that's called the debt snowball. And this is the key to how you get out of debt. That's it in a nutshell. If you've heard nothing else I have to say tonight, that's how you do it. You get your mind and your heart right, and you get a dream of your freedom in this country. And you imagine, man, how different would my life be if I didn't have any debt? If I didn't have any debt. And there are 2 acceptable debts. And I'm coming up on the 30-minute mark, which I try to keep all my YouTube videos under 30 minutes. There's 2 acceptable debts in America. One is a house. You got to have a roof over your head. Now, that's true. So a mortgage is acceptable. And the second is a business. Something that's going to make money. Make money. So those are the 2 acceptable debts that I can think of. And according to Dave Ramsey. And mortgage is not, putting a roof over your head is number 1. Second is debt that will create income. Those are the 2 acceptable debts. So I hope I've covered everything. I'm at the 26-minute mark, and I'm going to wrap this up. It's all about your freedom, folks. And we're Americans. If anybody in the world is supposed to love freedom, it's us. But I'm telling you again, you can have those constitutional freedoms all day long, and we all do. But if you're never financially free, you'll never enjoy it. You know, I am convinced of that truth in life. If you have debt, as long as you have debt, you're never going to be totally free. And you're not going to be free to do what you love. You're going to do what you have to do. And that's just not the same, is it? It's not. Alright, friends, I wanted to talk to you about that tonight. I feel good, put in a good day's work, and I'm going to watch a little football. America loves football, don't we? And then I'm going to turn in for the night. But I wanted to share this with you. It's something I believe in strongly. And I would love to see those numbers flip in this country, folks. Instead of 70% in debt, I'd love to see 70% debt-free. Oh, this country would be so much better off, folks. So much better off. People living their dreams more. Oh, that's what America's for, folks. The American dream was never supposed to be just on a house. That's a very small dream, folks. That's just shelter over your head. The American dream is to be free. That's the original American dream, is our very freedom in every way possible. Spiritual, natural, legal, and financial. All of it. All of it. All the freedoms you can imagine, folks. That's what I want for me, and I want it for you. That's why I'm on here talking to you about it tonight, folks. You can do it. You just got to get to where I got in life, where emotionally, down in your heart, you just got sick of it, and you said, "That's it. This will never be the situation of my life again." And when you get to that point, that's when the magic will happen for you. If you haven't got there already. So I'm going that way. I hope you'll join me in that dream. And let's do it together for the good of the country and the good of ourselves. And what better lesson could you pass on to your children than living debt-free and teaching them to do the same? Oh, the wealth we destroy in this country with debt. And the choices it robs us of. Don't even have the freedom of choice to do a lot of different things that we'd love to do. Like changing jobs, changing over to something you actually do care about. If you don't have to have those debts paid this month, could you do it? I know you could. Alright, folks, this is Eastview Eddie, Ed the Natural Polly. You can find me on Patreon with an E.com/Ed Polly, and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube under that same name. I appreciate you tuning in tonight, taking the time to listen to me, and I hope it's something beneficial to you. You take care of yourself. Godspeed. Have a great night, and get free.